Welcome.
Whoever you are, we welcome you. Wherever you come from, we welcome you. Whoever you love, we welcome you. Whoever you are, we welcome you. Whoever you love, we welcome you. Whoever you love, we welcome you.
And welcome all to First Unitarian Church of Toledo, Sunday morning, March 15th, 2020. This is not Joe Moran next to me. This is Mickey Miller, our music director, who is filling in as Sunday service assistant. Announcements, you've probably gotten the main announcements, which is thanks to COVID-19 and our being in a pandemic, most everything is either canceled or postponed. If you have questions, contact the committee or other group that you normally meet with. We have made the decision at this church that the big gatherings are canceled, but if you have committees that you're a part of, it is up to the committee whether to decide to meet. And you can meet off-site, you could meet in the normal room where you would meet, or if you want to give greater distance, at most times the sanctuary is available for you to spread out and keep that 6 feet distance or close to it between people. So we're conscious of that, especially the prisoner re-entry series, which had already been scheduled for its makeup date from a snow postponement, was to be this Thursday. That is postponed. And our church auction, which I believe was coming up this Saturday, is also postponed, and we have not set new dates for either of those. Let's wait until we see when the state of the world will permit. So those are the important announcements. We welcome everybody here. This is a quiet sanctuary today that has been converted more into studio in some ways, but we're bringing you the Sunday service live. And now let me turn to our opening words. This is from a piece online I found by Reverend Jeremy Smith on the blog hackingchristianity.net. And what he wrote is, I pastor a church near a COVID-19 outbreak. This is what churches can do. The reading. Churches are hesitant to change centuries-old practices, but the mission should inform our expressions. Churches are places where communities gather. If viruses can be stopped from transmitting in houses of worship and faith communities, then the church is doing its part to protect its membership. Community norming of sanitary procedures would benefit all of us. Even though the virus stops with us, the mission continues to be transmitted. That's our call to mission in times of contagion. And Mickey has the chalice lighting. You got it there.
So this is a reading called Come Into This Room by Susan McGinn. Come into this room, way into this chair, breathe into this body, the very body that will be you, for better and for worse, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. Come into this day, raise your gaze into these lights, of this chalice and of the one steadfast sun that watch endlessness of wild beauty, no beginning or ending in you, but flowing through like white water, reaching toward all that ever was and ever shall be.
And now, let's recite our covenant. Those of us who are here at home, you probably remember it. Let me advance the screen back to the covenant as well, so other viewers can see what we say. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. And now it's song time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to turn to number 1 in the hymnal. Nothing evil cross this door.
Okay, if you're counting very strictly, at the end of the verse, I'll hold the last one longer.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
By faith make strong the rafters fill, withstand the mountain of the storm. This world and all the world will keep you warm.
Thank you, Vicki and Bonnie. You had a great advantage to have our music director and not me leading the singing. Let's put it there. Now it's time for our story, and it's kind of a repeat of the story from last week. Hands off hellos is we want to emphasize that there are ways to greet without touching. Even the fist bump is skin to skin, and that's not advised. And the elbow bump, although elbow bumps all around is a nice phrase, and it seems pretty fun to be poking people with your elbow in with good reason, but still, that's not too much advised, because we're also told, and chew, let's sneeze into the elbow. So there's always the possibility of not having a clean enough elbow if we bump. So therefore, we have other ways of expression, and I spoke about some cultural ones last time. The Japanese bow, for example, and the hand clasp this way. My favorite, I think, is just hand on the heart, because it expresses, here I am with compassion. At least that's my thought of hand on the heart. I also like to give a little shout out to the Sammy Sosa, beat your heart twice, then he would kiss his fingers, but that is touching your face.
Don't do it.
So don't do that part, and then he does the B for peace or victory. I don't know what it is for him. Since he was a baseball player, maybe he did need the victories as well as peace. So we have that. But as we've seen on the internet and elsewhere, there are 2 other greetings. Let's go to different types of culture for the 2 main ones now that I want to emphasize. One, of course, is Wakanda forever, and the other, live long and prosper. So that was the beginning of story time. We're going to end it with yet another variation of a Unitarian Universalist hymn with hand washing lyrics. This is "Come Wash Your Hands with Me." And Bonnie and Mickey will help us do this well.
Yeah, so we're gonna sing this song. Oops, it is loading. There we go. Come wash your hands with me. Come wash your hands with me. Come wash your hands with me, that we may save humankind. It's gonna be lovely.
Come wash your hands with me. Come wash your hands with me. Come wash your hands with me. That we may save humankind. And I'll bring you soap, and soap is hard to find. And we'll sing a song of health and keep all the germs and hands with me. Come wash your hands with me, that we may save humankind. And I'll bring you soap, and soap is hard to find. And we'll sing a song of health and keep all the germs alive.
Now is the time, normally in our order of service, when we have our congregational greeting. And that's why we were giving the hands-off hellos before the greeting, so everyone can turn to each other and say hello and stay as healthy as possible when that is done. But today, we had our prompt question: if we were to meet in person, how are your habits changing because of the new coronavirus?
I wonder if folks are interacting with each other in the comments too, if you can see and greet each other there.
That's possible,
Yeah,
yeah.
nice. I see all these emojis.
But we know that habits have changed because of the new coronavirus, or it might be a term of art, novel coronavirus. That's what I'm beginning to hear. But with that, let's have an anthem.
Absolutely. So we are going to move a little something. Bonnie, may I ask you my number for this? 202. We were going to do some Schubert with the choir, but I think it's a lovely day for Come Sunday. Lord, dear Lord,
That was wonderful. Now, let's settle in, get comfortable for a time of meditation, contemplation, and prayer. These are words by Joan Javier Duval. I invite you now into our time of meditation and prayer. Sometimes when we enter this time of quiet, of listening to our own hearts and our own spirits, we may find a sense of peace. Sometimes, though, we may find an unquiet mind, a heart that is strained by the weight of the world. Let us just breathe for a moment. Let us acknowledge that these are challenging times and that worry may be a constant state for you right now. Just breathe. Fear is real. So is this moment. This sitting here upon this seat. This touching the ground with these feet. This hearing the sounds of your neighbors. Their breathing, their sighing. Fear is real. So is your beating heart. So are your hands upon your lap. Perhaps drier now from all that washing and scrubbing. Fear is real. So is this community. So is the humming, reverberating song. So is the laughter of children. So is the love shared among us in its many forms. Just breathe. May we know what we need is here. What we need is here. Let's observe 1 minute of silence. And let's sing our hymn, Spirit of Life.
All this
reading from Coronavirus is What You Get When You Ignore Science by Farad Manjoo, The New York Times, March 4th of 2020. Vaccines. Pray for peer review and controlled double blinds, for flu shots, herd immunity, and washing your hands. Pray for reason, rigor, and expertise. Pray for the precautionary principle. Pray for the NIH and the CDC. Pray for the WHO. And pray not just for science, but for scientists too, as well as their colleagues in the application of science, the tireless healthcare workers, the whistleblowing first responders, the rumbled righteous public servants whose long ignored warnings we will learn about only when the 12-part coronavirus docu-disaster series drops on Netflix. Wish them all well in the fights ahead. Their weapons, the weapons of science, are all we have left. Perhaps the only true weapons of our kind has ever marshaled against encroaching oblivion.
Because this is an unusual service, I'm making this a shorter sermon, I hope. Here are 1,000 pandemic-related words. As the novel coronavirus, COVID-19, reached the United States, before it had been declared a pandemic, the approach from the presidential administration was not one of science, not even one of crisis, but instead was presented as a little hiccup, interfering with whatever message of the day might be tied to the current occupant's re-election. That's what I was seeing. Instead, though, it did what new diseases seem to do: invade and keep going until people find, if not a cure, at least a way to minimize its potential devastation. We're not there yet. Now, I watched the movie Outbreak and Contagion, and I saw a TV documentary on the 1918 flu. So it seems I know more than the top decision makers in Washington, sadly. And I know that Outbreak isn't realistic, and Contagion, while promoted as the first movie to show what an actual pandemic would be based on the filmmaker's research and consultation with the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, is still a Hollywood movie. And I'll also point out, like the current Washington leadership, that COVID-19 isn't the flu, but it also isn't just passing like a common cold. And the coronavirus news I read early this week is already outdated, especially in some ways, the opinion pieces. So much for filling this time with pundits' advice. This is serious. It's global, it's spreading, and we have to react in unusual ways to lessen its possible impact. And Washington still has a problem of letting science and medicine take the lead. We know better. Science and medicine need to go viral, get everyone's attention so that we can return to our normal ways sooner, if we can make that return. I think we might be making some permanent adjustments, not all good ones. And we'll see that ruefully later on. It doesn't help that our healthcare system is in flux. That's nationally, as political partisanship seems to be trying to undo every action of the Obama administration, including the Affordable Care Act and other changes, and even wasting potential, like eliminating a pandemic-oriented office that would have been very helpful right now. We Unitarian Universalists believe in science and medicine. We're taking precautions during this hot time of COVID-19, but that coronavirus is moving faster than most were preparing. I tell you, a lot of us like to talk. Our talk's been lined up behind our chalice. 2 weeks ago, I thought we'd give a bottle of hand sanitizer to each congregant at our Sunday service to go along with our hands-off hellos story and instructions for hand washing. And if you can't get to soap and water, use sanitizer instead. So we ordered 144 bottles, and they arrived only yesterday. COVID-19 has come so fast that now I have to ask you not to make a special trip to church for a 2-ounce bottle of hand sanitizer. It will get used, and we'll keep some bottles on hand for when you can come back. The need for action was faster than the time for us to prepare. Like this service, we've gone from nothing to live stream in less than a week. We're definitely in requests for AV volunteers, and now it seems we need to be cautious enough that I should try this pretty much on my own. Just know that the plan is for better technology, though we might have to remain with only one static camera change from only about 2 weeks ago, when I thought a service on what's happening right now in the world was called for. So I replaced the title of what was printed in our monthly newsletter. We hope to get back to the regular mix of my preaching, but that does depend on the state of the world, doesn't it? The speed of the need for action means we're going to try to resurrect the old technology of the phone tree so that members are in contact with one another and the minister can be informed if there are particular needs. And yes, the minister will be on the phone some too. What I most want to say is take care of yourself. There are jokes, and you know that jokes help us to ease tension, and therefore this time needs some joking too. There are jokes that this is prime time for introverts, that we've been preparing for this all our lives, for this isolation. But that's a joke. We do need other people. We need more human contact than as figures on a TV or computer screen. So it's still somehow unique selves. You extroverts too will have great challenges in your social connection. I hope that phones and other ways of two-way communication will help. We're not all going hermetic either. Most of us, especially healthcare workers, still have jobs to go to, which makes arranging the new family life of no school and no church more complex. Let's live normal, changing lives. Oh, and if you haven't already done so, and you have that right, please go vote on Tuesday. If you're not a registered Republican or Democrat voting in the primary, you can request an issues-only ballot. And there are a couple of measures being locally decided for our transit service and for city improvements, including roads, that is tied to a raise in income tax. And I believe voting, the early voting center is open today. There are some who will be doing souls to the polls today. COVID-19 has altered the presidential campaign. You might even have more of a voice there. And keep an eye on the Toledo Unitarians YouTube channel. If you haven't already done so, smash that subscribe button. So be it.
Now, let's sing a verse of number 207. Earth was given as a garden. And before we have our offering, Bonnie's going to play a lovely solo for us. I'd love to invite y'all, if you haven't already, to familiarize yourself with the donate page on uutoledo.org. There's a little button that you can say, pledge online today. If you find yourself in a position to give during this time, it's really valuable and important to do so. So please listen and look around online as we hear. Bonnie, would you remind me the name of this hymn?
It's a Lutheran hymn called O God of Earth and Altar.
O God of Earth and Altar. This is a Lutheran hymn played by Bonnie.
And now as we get to our dedication of the offering,
we'll say rather, we dedicate this offering to the support and good work of First Unitarian Church of Toledo in this community and in the world. And I'd love to invite folks, we actually can read along your comments. If you want to have a coffee hour, we got a couple cups of coffee, and we can all kind of chat and have a moment with each other.
we will do that at the conclusion of the service. We'll leave the camera on for a couple minutes. Mickey, we're at the coming soon part of the service. Will you grab the end of this yellow measuring tape?
Yes.
And we're close. This is 6 feet distance. So
We're within it.
we're,
So I should
we
be
hope we're clear.
right here.
Get out of here, yeah.
Okay, there I
So
am.
here we are off camera.
Okay.
But for the coming soon part, for the time being, We're planning to keep the topics we have for our upcoming Sunday services, but to offer them only by live stream on our YouTube channel, Toledo Unitarians. We want to have the 10 o'clock spiritual adventures time too. That's what we call adult religious education. But have to change some topics there as dialogues don't work in our present live stream setup. And TED Talks, like what had been planned for next Sunday, have their own websites, so we don't need to repeat them here. So for next week, we'll have something at 10 for spiritual adventures. Then the 11 o'clock service is on Muhammad's night journey. For Sunday will coincide with an Islamic holiday that celebrates the story of Muhammad traveling from Mecca to Jerusalem to heaven, where he meets Allah, and goes back to Mecca, all in the space of one night. I point out, this will be my Unitarian Universalist, not in that culture or that faith perspective. So it's appreciation of the story, not a theological treatise. Join us then.
And then that's when we won't have our regular coffee hour, Reverend, or by email or other contact. If you need anything, reach out to your community. And now for these, that's you.
For our closing words, this is from an article in Scientific American Online from February 27th. So it seems to be quite old now. It's by Zinat Tefeki, and it's from Preparing for Coronavirus to Strike the U.S. As a society, there are much larger conversations to be had about the way our healthcare industry runs, for example, how to handle global risks in our increasingly interconnected world, how to build resilient communities, how to reduce travel for work. Those are all important discussions, and nothing in this short article replaces that. However, the practical steps facing households are immediate and important. For the sake of everyone else, prepare to stay home for a few weeks. You'll reduce your own risks, but most importantly, you will reduce the burden on healthcare and delivery infrastructure and allow frontline workers to reach and help the most vulnerable.
And as we send our flame, I'm going to read For Challenging Times by Lisa Doe. Why a flaming chalice? The question comes. It's the cup of life, we answer. A cup of blessings overflowing. A cup of water to quench our spirit's thirst. A cup of wine for celebration and dedication. The flame of truth. The fire of purification. The light of clarity. Out of chaos, fear, and horror, the symbol was crafted a generation ago. So may it be for us in these days of uncertainty, sorrow, and rage. Its oil to anoint and heal, and its light to warm our souls and guide us home. We'll sing 414 as we leave this friendly place. As we leave this friendly place, love divine to every face, may the kindness which we learn light our hearts till we return.
The service is ended. Go in peace, be in peace, and now have coffee for coffee hour. Bye, guys.
Grab my coffee.
And here's a room. our congregation, along with a visitor today, Raven. Welcome.
Now you see
Hey,
me.
Raven. Yes,
Missed you, Mommy.
Here, I'm gonna look at, I thought it was fun. We can actually see the comments as they're coming in. Let's see. Who is here? Melissa says library, green screen. Yeah, stay 6 feet away. Wait, where's the tape measure?
I'll help you for now.
Let's see. Oh, I see. I have to play it. It's catching it. Aha. Yeah. Good morning. Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Raven. We have
Yes. We have.
You want to be on
someone
camera?
here. That received it early.
She doesn't want to be on
Okay.
camera, so.
I truly miss you all though. It's
I'll
weird.
get in here and say hi.
Yay, come on.
I'm having a hard time with
I wish I could have met everybody.
We're all really nice. They're online right now. Let's see. Loading it. Do you have the comments there in the feed?
Yes, we have a whole list of
Oh.
feeds.
Elbow bumps to all.
Thanks for tuning in.
What? I can tell a story about Queen Rona. No, not Queen Rona, Melissa. Yes.
It was nice to meet everyone.
It was nice to meet you too, Raven. We'd love to see you
Just a
soon.
message to all the children. Next week, we hope to have Ari, a broadcast for Ari up. We hope, we'll see how it goes. So work in progress.
It's so strange to have RE with, like, you can have cereal in your pajamas.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. You could be hoping to have already.
Keep watching the channel and smash that subscribe button.
That's right. You know what they say about the thumb of the mic.
Hi, Savoya. I'm reading. Thank you, church fam. Hi, Marcia. Joanne. Oh, bless your heart, Joanne. We love seeing y'all. New subscriber. Hey, Rich.
Rich Miller did smash that button.
He smashed the subscribe button, y'all. He went. Good. Oh, my goodness.
Apologize for not being
Oh,
here.
everyone be safe. Be well.
Good.
I hope everyone has coffee or whatever their beverage of choice is at home. Love, love, love to all.
Thank you much. We will sign off.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Coffee time.